Welcome to the You Can Do Both podcast. I'm Court.
This is Ashley.
And welcome to our 9th episode.
My favorite number.
Ooh, that means it's going to be a good one, huh?
It is. I may or may not have manifested that for us.
Oh, did you now?
I may have.
Why have you manifested that? Or how have you?
That is because today's episode is all about manifestation.
I literally hate us.
Same, but I like it.
So yeah, that is our topic. We're really excited. We have cut some parts of past episodes out where we accidentally talk about manifestation because we just know that we can do an entire episode on this topic. So this has been a long time coming.
Yeah, for sure. Also, this is something I think that you and I talk about in our day-to-day lives constantly.
Yeah, no, it's like a big piece of our friendship.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think the reason why we clicked so well in college and when we initially met is because we just have a very similar mindset and outlook on life. Yeah. And a big piece of that is manifestation. Very brief catch up because our entire last episode was a catch up.
Okay.
I officially moved out of my apartment.
Insane.
It was a chaotic last 2 days, but we handed over the keys today. Everything's in the storage unit and I'm ready to start the next chapter.
A chapter's closed. How do you feel?
I feel good. I haven't really had time to sit with my thoughts and feelings yet, so
That's
I'm
true.
sure
You've
that'll
been nonstop.
That'll come. But just super appreciative of my first ever apartment after college and the amazing people that I lived with, and just definitely bittersweet, but just ready for whatever's next.
I'm really excited for you. You have so many things to look forward to in the upcoming weeks and months.
Totally.
However, I think we need to put a log in the fire.
Yeah, I think so too.
Because I'm going to be nervous about it.
Pausing for the vibe.
Okay. All right, y'all. We're back.
We're back. Now it's time for you to give us a little catch up.
I don't really think I have much to update on.
You've been meditating, which is what you wanted to do.
Oh, yeah. So true. So my focus of the week last week, which AKA is this week, is I wanted to meditate. And I have been doing a sleep meditation every night with the Calm app. I did a story time one night, which this man with a very soothing, wonderful voice just reads you a story. Oh my God, it was the guy from Bridgerton.
Oh.
Because the second season of Bridgerton just came out.
Yes.
And we started watching it. So we watched the first episode. And then the first thing that I look at on the Calm app was a bedtime story. And it was this man reading it. And I was like, okay, what? Absolutely.
That's so cool.
I know.
Are you a Bridgerton fan? I feel like there's a lot of controversy. You either love it or you hate it.
I don't love it or hate it. I'm just kind of meh. I'll watch it. I wouldn't say I'm as invested as I was the first season. But it's fine. I've only seen the first episode of the second season though, so I will report back.
Okay, good. I partially watched the first season and I was just it just takes a lot. I'm either super hooked into a show or I literally don't watch TV.
Yep, me too. I either binge it immediately and that's all I can think about, or I fall asleep.
Yeah. It's a character trait of ours, I guess.
Yeah.
What else does that say about our personalities?
You guys put the pieces together.
Okay, awesome. So we could just dive in.
Yes, we can.
Okay,
so like we said before, today's episode is about manifestation. Do we want to start out with a definition of it for those that are unaware?
Yeah.
For those that live under a rock.
So manifestation is controversial. I think more people are into it and have some sort of belief in it to a certain extent, especially this day and age. I feel like TikTok elevated that. I don't know.
I agree.
I've always unintentionally manifested or thought very positively, but I think it's a lot more talked about nowadays than it ever was. There's now a name to the concept.
I agree.
And so that's why it's so popping off. But manifestation, to our understanding, is basically speaking things into existence, and believing in something so much that it becomes your reality. And so I think where a lot of the controversy comes is people just expect you to be able to say something and that come true. No. Speaking it into existence, speaking it is the first step. There's a lot to come after. And I think there's a few different extremes too. It's sometimes something's just happened. It's holy shit, I manifested this for myself. I was just talking about this the other day. How in the world is this happening? But then there's other forms of manifestation on the other side where it's like you've kind of dreamt of this your whole life. Like you knew it was going to happen one day. You firmly believed it, and then it eventually came true because of the actions, whether subconscious or consciously, you put towards making that manifestation your reality.
Yes.
What do you think?
That was a very good introduction and definition of that.
Awesome.
But you know how we were talking before this about the different levels of manifestations and we weren't sure?
Totally.
Something just clicked when you said there's kind of the two types, the bigger goals, but also the things where, oh my God, I was just talking about this the other day. How did it pop up?
Yeah.
That just made me, I think that's the connection to the subconscious mind. It's not even that it just popped up. It's that your conscious mind was made aware of it. And now, of course, it's the first thing you see.
Totally.
I feel like everyone can relate to that.
Yeah.
You learn a new word or you learn a new something so silly, and then boom, the next day and for the next week you see it 3 times in your life.
Yeah.
And you swear you've never heard it before.
Yeah.
But realistically, your subconscious mind has actually picked it up before, but now all of a sudden you're just aware of it.
Yeah, you're registering it and it's sitting with you. Yeah, no, that is so true. I want you to start.
Okay, I feel like I have 1,000,001 stories about manifestation, which I really didn't, in the moment, I wasn't like, wow, I manifested this, but trying to look back and recall things that I've manifested for myself, I'm like, yup, that's it.
Yeah.
First one I feel like is, oh my God, guys, our fire just started.
Hell yeah. The fire just lit behind us.
Yeah, that's strictly the fire starter.
Yeah.
It's only on that
Yeah,
side.
we did nothing.
No. Looks good, though.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers. I honestly want to go.
Look at that as we kick off.
I'm going to go get the rest of the bottle. Just one second.
Sure. I'm having so much fun. Wait, why am I loving this way more than any other episode ever?
Yes, we're having a great time, basically.
We are.
We're in a new environment. We have a fire behind us.
I know.
I feel inspired.
Okay, first big manifestation thing that I think is relevant is this podcast.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just going to start from I'm going to try to keep these stories concise so you guys can follow along, but my brain goes everywhere when I try to think about it. Okay, so 2020 New Year's resolution was to find some podcasts because everyone at Bentley, I feel like, was like, oh, listen to this business podcast. Oh, I learned so much about this. And I was like, podcasts? I mean, I don't watch the news. I should probably get into it. And I found some podcasts and I really liked it. I actually got wicked into them and I stopped listening to music and I fully only listen to podcasts.
Also a character trait.
I know. That's the
obsessive.
Yes, exactly. So 2020 comes around and Courtney was actually the person I called about this, but I was like, I think I want to start a podcast. I had a name for it. Should I say the name?
Yeah.
Okay, so I had a full name for it. I was going to call it It's Not That Glamorous because I was listening to all these podcasts and it was all these influencers or business owners or entrepreneurs or whoever it was. And I was like, nobody's really talking about a 9-to-5 and how normal it is to have this job. Like, it doesn't have to be that glamorous and it can still be so amazing.
And I also really liked that name for you specifically because I think you are always so put together and other people's perceptions of you are like, oh, so chic, so into fine things. Like you're just, even your Instagram, like you just have this persona, I think, even a persona that I had of you before I even got to know you.
I think a lot of people do.
As being very glamorous. And I think that would have just been very intriguing for people. And also because you were like the single-handedly like most down-to-earth person I've ever met in my life. But even myself was like surprised by that when I met you because of this persona for whatever reason that you have. And so, nice. When you said it, I was like, yes, Ashley, you go, girl. You need to do this.
I remember it so vividly. I was driving back from New Hampshire and I was voice memoing Courtney on my drive back to Boston. And I like came up with this idea. So I actually tried to record one like on my phone and it just felt so unnatural. It wasn't quite there. So another year goes around and like you guys know the story. We went to the Celtics game, went to the bar after. We're like, let's just start a podcast. And at that point, it was just so many minor things leading up to it. And now we have a podcast.
And over the summer, we had talked about it was that after the It's Not So Glamorous? Or
that was before.
It was before.
Yeah. But like podcasts had just always kind of lingered. Honestly, never in a million years did I actually think I would have a podcast.
Yeah.
But it's just so crazy. I went from it. I have it written down. I showed Courtney the other day on my 2020 resolutions. Find more podcasts to listen to.
Yep.
And it's just so cool to see how that manifested in my life over the next 2.5 years.
Well, something you're not saying is the 2020 resolution was find podcasts to listen to.
Right. 2021
was start a podcast.
And then 2022
at the very beginning of 2022 we
actually started it.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of like the seed was planted. The idea from that seed, like, oh, actually I could do this on my own.
Yeah.
And then the actual implementation the next year later.
Exactly.
Which is pretty crazy.
And I think that just speaks to the definition of manifestation too, in a sense that you can't just speak things into existence, but that was a goal that you had, and then just little things just kind of grew into that. And I think that things happen at certain times for certain reasons. So maybe you had that year to figure out that you loved podcasts, and you had the next year to think of all these ideas of like what you would want to do yourself. You have all of the knowledge. You're so versed in all these different things. And now 3 years later, you're equipped to put on your own show.
Totally. And also going off of that, the year leading up to this past year, like where we started this, remember I was trying to convince you to do a podcast for Cozy, because I was like, listen, like podcasts are the thing. Like you already have Cozy, like you have this cool like content brand, like you need a podcast to talk about all this. You're like, yeah, like that'd be good. But I was like, somebody in my life, I was trying to convince another friend to do it. Like she was sending me voice notes. Like I was just everyone's biggest cheerleader because I wanted someone in my life to do it. And I think me like doing that manifested itself in me. And then I finally had you to like ignite the fire and actually do it.
This is so cool. Precious,
right?
No, it's so cool. It is really so cool how it just works out the way that it's supposed to.
Okay, I don't want to talk too much on that one.
I love that.
So all right, your turn.
So on the contrary to Ash, I feel like I also have some big moments in my life that it's like I totally manifested this, but at the same time I think my entire life is like a culmination of manifestations and just things that I've envisioned for myself. One thing that I'll kind of speak to is my job, but in the sense that my entire life, for whatever reason, I have always felt as if you don't need to pursue certain industries or certain careers because of the dollar value attached to it. I don't know who told me this, why it's ingrained in my brain, but it's like, if you are passionate enough about anything in your life, you can make the dollars kind of come, and you're going to be just as successful, if not more, than people who are doing the things that they're told to do, society tells them to do to make X amount of money.
Hi, me.
Yeah. But you also enjoy what you do too. There's just other ways. Like there are other paths in your life that can take you to where you want to be. It doesn't need to be the road that everyone else travels. And I've always felt that so deeply.
You have, and you were one of the only people that were like, oh hell yeah, I'm gonna do marketing, and said marketing with confidence.
Yeah.
There's so many people that, oh, like I'm just in marketing, and like kind of brush it off because it can be seen as like not the finance or the accounting or the tech or whatever it is at a business school, especially.
It's so disgusting on how, like, because the classes are easier, because they're more like social, like more presentation based, like it's so messed up.
I don't know who
in society
that
it's like, oh, you're not taking hard classes, you're not smart. It's like, really? Like I'm smart in a different way than you are.
Essentially, it's like, oh, you're not doing something with numbers.
Yeah.
Like, okay, why was math always like that? For me, it was history. History was so hard. I couldn't do that.
Me too. I couldn't remember shit because we had bad memories.
That's what
But it's funny now because I have conversations with people about marketing that's was back in the day, like, oh, you were like not the brightest if that's what you chose for yourself, and even sales. And people are like, I explain what I do, and they're like, I have no idea what the fuck you just said.
Exactly.
Like, no idea. Like, literally no idea. But back to the story. So I've just felt this for whatever reason my entire life. And I've always had this idea that I would end up in a role that I absolutely adored and I would never settle for anything less. and that I would travel. Like, I've just always felt that in me. I'm like, I want to travel for my job. I want to see the world. I want to be surrounded by people. Today, I have a job that takes me places, and my job is to build relationships with people.
And you genuinely love your job.
Yeah. And it's just a belief. And that's the thing too with manifestation. It's like you say something, right? You take the actions that kind of take you there, whether it be subconscious or conscious, but you actually need to believe that you are.
That's the key. That's the secret sauce.
Yeah. When you believe, then you subconsciously act.
That's the secret sauce right there, is you genuinely have to believe it.
Yeah.
Think of all the people that were exactly in your position, followed exactly in your footsteps, had the exact same grades as you, but were like, oh, well, I'm just going to study marketing. Like, I'm going to hate my job. I'm going to go into the real world.
Yeah.
They didn't end up in a job that they loved because they didn't believe that that was possible and that was something that they could achieve.
Is so true.
Mm-hmm.
That is so true. That is so true.
Yep.
Like, everyone just ends up in, like, I don't know, like email marketing or what, and like no shame to that. Like, some of my best friends are doing that, but I feel like that was just like the path that was there. Whereas I was like, I was aware that the world was so big, and I knew for a fact that I was going to love whatever I did. So I made it a point to find that, whether it was I knew what I was doing or I wasn't.
Going off of this, though, how did you get this job, Court? Because actually I manifested a little something for my co-host over here.
Guys, Ashley manifested my job right now.
I really did.
I obviously put in the work. I made the intro. I worked for this company previously. But when COVID hit, they didn't have enough money in the budgets. Also kind of a downside of marketing. There's like never enough money to go around. They didn't have the funds to basically pull me on as a full-time hire. And so for me, the door was temporarily closed. I luckily had another job. Like, I was fine. But I just had a gut feeling that I was not meant to be there. Could you imagine? Let's just everyone just take a second, close your eyes, and think about this for a second. Courtney Carlton was project managing for a pharmaceutical company. Our client, I was at service to somebody else. They were telling me where they wanted their copy to go on the website of a drug for a disease I knew nothing about.
No.
I was updating timelines behind a desk. I was taking phone calls with no cameras on, not having any socialization in my day.
Yeah, no, you would have been miserable. So this was the job that Courtney actually accepted.
It was a fallback, but I accepted it at the beginning to make sure that I had something.
Right.
Yes. So basically, I got this opportunity in October of 2019, and I
thought you took it.
I did take it. I literally worked this job for a couple of months.
Yeah.
And then you manifested.
Yes. So let's talk about like where this started. So yes. Courtney comes up to the lake. Wait for the lake content, guys. Oh my God, there's so much to come this summer.
Wait on it.
But the lake's the best place in the world. It's where all of your dreams come true. So naturally, Courtney and I, weren't we floating? Mm-hmm. We float out to the middle, and Courtney is telling my dad, and my dad is the king of manifestation. Yeah, he is. We'll get into that later. But
so is my dad.
Yeah, for sure. That's I think why we get along, because we were raised by our moms. Iconic.
Yeah.
Like, we were raised by the same parents. Yeah. In the weirdest and also different way, but like also like so similar. But basically, we were floating in the lake, and Courtney was telling us this dilemma between these two jobs. She wasn't sure what to do. The way that you talked about your internship, I was like, oh my God, they're going to offer you something immediately. So when they didn't, I was like, no. Like, they're going to come out with an offer. Like, I know for a fact they're going to do whatever they need to get you back. And you were like, oh, I don't know, but they said no. And I was like, no, like, it will happen. And my dad and I are sitting there like, yeah, no, you just have to, you got to go for it. You got to go for Vista for sure. Mm-hmm. And then what happened?
And then my psychic happened, but maybe we'll get into that later. Okay. But basically, I was working for the other company, and I was working for them for about 2 months, and I get this like cold call from my manager at Vista, and she was like, so I have good news. And I was like, no way. She was like, we want you to come back. And she's like, I know that this is like, you're already working elsewhere, and this is a big step for you, but like this is our very competitive offer, and like we would want nothing more than for you to be back on our side.
And they fully swooped in with an offer.
Yeah, they did. And it's funny too, because I even like contemplated it. I was like, oh, but like how does it look to like leave a job only starting 2 months? Guys,
that could be a whole nother episode.
You have autonomy over your entire life. And at the end of the day, for the most part, you're just a number. So you better do whatever you want in your heart and soul. And a tough conversation for all of about 30 seconds is going to be worth the life that you have kind of after the fact. That's a whole other conversation. So I'm not even going to get further into that. But not only did you manifest it and your dad manifest it for me, but even your roommate, Ciara,
oh yeah,
even was
Ciara
like,
did.
I just had a feeling the whole time, because
when I told Ciara, she was like, I knew it. Yes,
because there was so much talk about me wanting, or you thinking that I belonged there.
Yeah.
And like you, I think, made me believe it even more in myself. Like I knew it, but that wasn't the reality of my situation. So you pushing for it made me also further believe, like, you know what? Like I also see myself there. Like it'll happen when it's supposed to. And then it did.
Also, that warms my heart, because like imagine if you didn't have people surrounding you that were like, no, like you have a good job. Like don't worry about it. Like stop thinking about it. Yeah. Just like be happy where you are, and like, thankful that you got what you got. Be fortunate
that you have what you have, and you have a job, which I very much was. But yeah, I in fact had some people in my life like that. Like no need to think like that. Like
exactly,
you're set. You're good without that.
Oh, I love that.
It's so important to surround yourself with people that also are supporting what you're doing and wanting you to succeed in whatever, because they're going to be your number one advocates and your manifestors for you, and you can't even be that for yourself because you're blinded by some other things.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, this makes me so happy. Okay, so going off of the jobs, not only did I assist in manifesting Court's job, I also assisted in getting my boyfriend a promotion.
Hell yeah, you did.
So I'm going to try to keep this short. Guys, I know I talk about Joe a lot, but he's really my best friend aside from Courtney. And I spend all my time with him.
Yeah, he's an extension of yourself.
Yeah. So apologies, but also sorry, not sorry.
No apology necessary.
So essentially over the summer, Joe used to live in a house with a bunch of guys, and that upcoming September, he was moving into his own place. If you are from or have experienced the Boston housing market, it is so gosh darn expensive, especially to live alone. So I was like, oh my goodness, Joe needs a new job. He kind of hated where he was at. He had been there for 3 years. He was like, all right, I'm going to start looking. So like we started looking. Thankfully, I have a friend whose mom does what he does. And like he started interviewing there. And I was like, okay, like this is so great. Like Joe's going to get this job. He's absolutely going to get a job. He will be making more money so he doesn't have to stress about rent, all of the things. Guys, listen to how freaking crazy this is. All of a sudden, so he's been like interviewing at this other company a little bit, like talking to them over the phone. Out of absolutely nowhere, his manager calls him and is like, hey, we have this position opening up and I think you're perfect for it. Like, I need you to interview. So we're like, okay, hey, let's have a backup, right? Like, we're definitely going to leave this company, but like, let's just have a backup just in case the other one doesn't work out. So we're practicing his presentations. I'm not kidding. Every 11/11 wish I saw, I was like, Joe's going to get a new job. He's going to make more money. He's going to be able to afford his rent without stress. Like, these are the three things I just wanted that for him so bad because I saw that he wanted it. And so he interviews for it. His manager is basically like, I think you need this, not this other guy, right? Manager backhands him and is like, actually, we're going to give it to the other guy that we told you wasn't even in the competing route, whatever. It was actually Joe's friend. So Joe's like, whatever. Like, it's fine. I'm going to leave anyways. 2 days later, after they announced to the entire team that this other guy got the promotion, Joe gets a call. Hey, so actually the other guy's numbers didn't add up and HR won't let him through. So by default, we actually need you to step in. So he just got a big bump in his promotion. Guys, imagine a massive company announcing someone got the promotion, that he's setting up these one-on-ones with the people he's going to manage.
He was in the position for 2 days.
Yep. He was in the position. And then all of a sudden they were like, actually, just kidding. this other guy's gonna come in and take your place and you actually don't get the promotion. And that other guy was Joe. And tell me that's not manifestation.
No, it 1000% is.
We were like, how does something like that happen? And it's not exactly what we wanted, you know, necessarily. Like Joe would have loved to go somewhere else, but this opportunity just fell into his lap where he can get management experience, a nice salary, all of the things. And it was like, I did that.
Yeah.
I firmly believe I did that. And don't worry, I got his approval to talk about this before. But he also believes that I did that. And we talk about it all the time.
Yeah. And I think that's also a piece of manifestation, not directly, but indirectly what people like. That's like a belief that people have about manifestation in terms of like speaking things into existence. But although I firmly believe that you spoke it into existence, he also did the work to be qualified and deserving of what he got.
Oh, for sure.
But you definitely helped him out. You probably gave him a lot of confidence in knowing that. He probably put himself in situations or like looked really good because he had the confidence, you know.
Also, this is just a PSA to always like put in the work even when you don't even know what you're looking for, because essentially the reason Joe got this was because he grinded out his numbers. So he's in sales, so you have to like make your calls, your emails, like all the numbers. You have to meet your, I don't know what the word is, quota for the week, and he like exceeded it every single day. Like he was so sure to do that so then he can just move on with his day and do whatever. But the reason that other guy didn't get it was because he didn't have the numbers and Joe did. And that ended up coming full circle. Yeah. So it was almost like he was just putting in the work over the past 2-3 years. He wasn't planning to stay, but it just opened up these doors for him.
Yeah. Manifestation is a culmination of things that you do and your thoughts and your actions throughout a period of time. Like exactly. It truly is.
So that's a good one. That's one of my favorite ones.
I love that story because I remember you literally called me. You're like, I manifested this for Joe.
Because I was just so like, guys, how do they announce a promotion and then take it back and give it to someone else?
That's so wild. That's so embarrassing for the company, to be honest.
Well, also Joe was kind of annoyed. They were like, well, F you. Like, why? You just told me no. But also he's like, this
I'll take it. I'll take it.
I don't hate it. So... Hey, we take what we can get here.
Guys, I am so sorry. I tend to talk away from the microphone, which I'm actively trying, and I'm manifesting that I will not be doing that anymore.
No, you've done a really good job. I think we needed one episode for you to hear it.
To realize how bad I was.
Oh, okay, I gotta fix it.
But one thing that I need to apologize for is me, whenever I laugh for whatever reason, I feel the need to put the microphone practically in my mouth.
I like your laugh. It makes me smile.
I love my laugh too. I'm not gonna lie. My laugh makes me happy when I hear it back.
It makes me happy too.
But I feel like all of a sudden I'm talking so low, then all of a sudden it's like
that's okay.
Screaming.
One day we'll figure out how I
can like neutralize it.
Yes, but we haven't figured that out yet. Mainly just because I don't have the time to look it up. But in my free time, I will look it up because there's a lot of moments that are just too low or too high. And I'm like, we can't even include this because we're going to hurt or confuse someone's ears.
Yeah. Let's bring it back.
Okay.
Let's talk about why we are positive or why we have manifested things in our lives. Like maybe for me at least, my dad is extremely positive. And growing up, he just made me believe that you can really make anything possible by putting in the work. But when you put in the work and you talk as if these things have happened in your life already, or you just know that they're going to happen because you say it and it eventually happens. I think just seeing like little instances of that my whole life has made me believe. And I'll kind of give an example. So this is so silly. And this happened very recently, like maybe within the last 2 years. I was in like a car filled with people and my dad was driving. We were in a parking lot and we were in like this super hectic area and there was absolutely no spots. And there was like lines and lines of cars trying to find spots. And I remember my aunt saying, who was also in the car, she was like, oh my God, this is literally going to take us forever. Like we're never going to find a spot. And my dad, just because it's the way he is, confidently saying, what do you mean? A spot's literally going to open up for us right now. Like
I miss him so much.
He's the most precious human of all time. But She's like, yeah. He's like, no, watch. What do you know? The exact thing happens. And obviously that's not like every case scenario, but what is saying that it's not going to happen? What value is that going to bring to the situation?
Absolutely nothing, but bringing down everyone's mood. You're just putting emphasis on something that everyone already knows.
Yeah.
We can all see it. We all feel it. We see all the cars. We see all the people. We see the packed parking lot. Do we really also need to say it out loud? No.
Yeah.
Imagine if everyone in the car would just be like, all right, let's go. Let's find this car. We always do this. We're manifesting a spot right out
now.
Front.
Yes. Every single time.
Yeah.
Literally such a foolish example.
Yeah.
But I think little things like that throughout my life have made me realize like negativity doesn't add much. Of course, there's times in which it's warranted and everyone you're valid to be negative and to feel certain things, and there's always room for that. But sometimes it's like, why don't you just say something that's a little bit more positive? And you never know,
100%. I think we could honestly do an entire episode about positivity, which we 100% will. Yeah. But I will say the people who are positive and more open to having good things come to them and truly wish good things upon themselves have better things
handed to them, practically.
Absolutely. Like, you need to be open to receiving them. And do I get into the whole subconscious mind?
Yeah, you should.
Okay. So basically, I mentioned this before, but when I visited Courtney in 2020 for right after New Year's Eve, I bought a book because I thought I was going to read it. I read half of it and I actually learned something and I'm going to share with you all today. It is called The Power of Your Subconscious Mind, and I'm going to butcher it because I read it
3 years ago almost.
3 years ago. So basically, I guess I kind of alluded to this earlier. Did I use alluded right?
Yes, Ashley, you did in fact use the word allude right.
Wonderful. So I alluded to this earlier, and you have a subconscious mind and you have a conscious mind. And your subconscious does not have a active working brain. It can't come up with its own thoughts. It essentially only knows what you tell it. So in a brief example, if you are constantly talking down to yourself like, oh, my hair doesn't look very good today, rather than saying, oh, my skin is glowing, just point out all of the positive things in your day, and your subconscious mind is only going to pick up those positive things. Yeah. Whereas if you're constantly feeding yourself negative thoughts, you're going to be more likely to pick up negative thoughts. That's straight science.
Yeah.
And you have to you're so silly not to force yourself to think positive thoughts.
Yeah.
You will be a happier person and better things will happen to you.
Yeah. And of course, there's like an extreme. We're going to talk about positivity in a whole episode. Yeah. And when you can make a decision and you have control of your mind, like, why not fill it with thoughts that make you happy? Like, For sure. Of course, there's toxic positivity, which we'll get into. There's like different variations for sure, but I'm totally in line with that. And honestly, something else that I manifested for myself, which is less in like the broader sense, but more so in the day-to-day, and I feel like you can also relate to this point, is I manifested clear skin for myself, which sounds ridiculous. Mm-hmm. Okay. So my body decided that it wanted to get face acne at the age of 22 years old. And when I've never had that as an issue in my life before. And it just took such a hit to the confidence, because it was like, everyone already went through this at some point. Like, why am I going through it now? And I felt so alone. And it was also during COVID and whatever. And turns out that a lot of other people can relate. And like, it was a combination of maskne and this and that, whatever. But I literally would like spend so much time in my day just like not loving what I saw in the mirror and like pinpointing, like drawing attention myself to the things that was wrong. And of course I was doing all the things. I invested in like this light therapy like stick. I invested in Curology, and I was doing things physically that obviously helped. But when I decided, you know what, Courtney, screw this, like, stop saying that you are not beautiful, or stop focusing on the things that probably only I really picked up on as opposed to other people. And I made a conscious effort to look at myself in the mirror every day and say, Court, your skin's amazing. It's getting better. It's glowing. It's this.
Yeah.
And sometimes I didn't even say that. Like, I wasn't even religious to that, but more so just consciously making an effort to stop worrying and stop looking at myself in the mirror 5 minutes extra before bed, dwelling over what was going on. My skin immediately cleared the second I stopped stressing about it, the second I stopped drawing negative energy to it.
I swear it can affect your body 100%.
Yeah.
It's a mind.
It's a mind, body, soul connection.
Yeah.
So not only do you need to speak it, not only do you need to do certain things, but you also need to believe it, because as soon as I started saying it, the more I said it, the more easier it was for myself to believe, both my conscious and subconscious. The more it kind of just evolved. And I feel like people scientifically would be like, that's just not it. But like, it is.
No,
it is.
It literally
energy
is.
flows where intention goes, and my energy was positive towards myself, and it flew the way I wanted it to. And I don't have perfect skin, but like, I don't have skin problems that I once had.
Yeah, exactly. No, all of the negative talk that you ever tell yourself, it comes out some way. No, you didn't.
I just missed my mouth.
All right, so where were we?
I love this episode.
Me too. I'm having so much fun. Okay, so I kind of want to talk about, I hate to like bring up a job again. Guys, I only have large life events that I think of when I do manifest.
Think of off the top of your
there's
head.
so many tiny little things I manifest, but they're just like small things that brighten my day that I don't necessarily recall a week or a month later.
Yeah.
But one of the biggest things is my job in general, not my specific job, but essentially my dad manifested this for me. Since I was so young, he was always like, you will go to an amazing college that you're going to love. So I was the first one to go to college in my family. I know you were too, Court. I think that's pretty cool of us.
Yeah, so cool.
Kind of sick. First generation college students.
Yeah.
Woo!
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So my dad had always like dreamed of that. So I was kind of like that cliche, like I'm living out my parents' dreams.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's like, oh no, like you're going to go to college. You're going to study a great degree. You're going to get an amazing job that's going to pay X amount of money, and you're going to get it before you graduate. And I was like, oh my God, yes. Okay. As it's getting closer to graduation, I'm like, oh my goodness, this is so stressful. I have applied to over 100 jobs. I have had at least 2, if not 3 to 4 interviews a week for like months or weeks straight.
That was a crazy time for you.
I like got depressed. I was at therapy on Bentley's campus, but that's a story for another time. It's just, guys, when you face so much rejection, and it's just like, I was just doing so many interviews and it was so many no's and not a single yes.
Yeah.
But anyway, so as I'm going through this, I'm like, listen, Dad, like, I don't know if I can get this job with like X amount. Like, I know I can get like a decent job. Like, I don't know if I can get this amazing, incredible like job. So I finally get an offer, and it's fine. It's like your typical offer. I'm like, all right, I wanted this. It's great. All of a sudden, I hear back from this company like I didn't even remember applying to, because I was just like, apply. And they have a super day that I was invited to. That was after my, like, I had to ask for an extension on my offer from the other company. The extension was for a Monday it ended on. My super day was that Friday before. So I literally had to interview and tell them, hey, listen, I need to know by Monday, like before noon. And long story short, I went and I was like, I feel this in my soul. I'm going to get this. I know it for a fact. So I do the super day. They call me Monday morning. I'm in class. I leave. I cry. I call my dad. It's exactly what he said it would be. My dad just manifested this amazing, basically my dream job. Like, and I was just like, wow, like this actually happened. And I almost didn't even believe in myself. But it got to the point where my dad told it to me since I was 10 years old, that it almost wasn't I had to believe it. It was like, no, I have to do this.
Yeah.
Also, shout out to my mom, because she's one of our number 1 fans. And before this interview, she took me shopping, and I got a whole new outfit and it was so cute because I was freaking out. I was
Anita.
like, I know for a fact I have to get this job. It was my very last job interview, obviously, after months of trying. And she took me shopping and I got a cute little outfit and she left me in the Bentley parking lot as I was crying because I was so scared. And we talked about it the other day and I was like, oh my God, Mom, I'm just like so thankful to have your support. I really have great parents, which helps a lot.
And you know, it's crazy too. Maybe you needed to have all of that rejection to get yourself in a good enough standing and comfortable interviewing in order for you to have deserved that job and gotten that offer that you got.
Yes, absolutely. It made me so much more confident, so much more comfortable. Also, it helped that I had an offer before. So I went into it like, you know what? I'm just going to go in and be myself.
Yeah.
So that if they hire me, it's for me. And worst case, I have a backup.
Also, be yourself. You're going to end up, if you're yourself, you're going to end up where your best self will thrive in the environment with the right people. That just like literally means everything. I feel like people.
That applies for jobs, for friends, life, for partners, everything.
When I am the most in touch with who I am, meaning like I feel very confident in the way that I'm feeling and looking, whether it be an outfit, whether it be I've been just like in the gym a bunch, I'm just confident, whether it's me like having been consistent journaling and just feeling like I have a deep understanding of who I am and what I want. That's what you attract. I've met the most important people in my life when I feel most in touch with who I am as a person. And I think that's another version of manifestation, like unintentionally, like very subconsciously. It's like what you put out into the world is what you get. That's a part of manifestation.
No, that is manifesting.
I have like multiple experiences in my life where I've been like, I'm going to meet someone new tonight, whether it be like a romantic partner, whether it be just like a friend.
Can we tell the South Carolina story? I think it's the perfect episode for this.
Okay, I'll tell the South Carolina story.
Okay. South Carolina man, you're getting your shout out. We know you've been waiting.
Yes. So it is May of last year. There's this girls' trip that's been planned for months. And I was invited originally. And for whatever reason, I was just like, nah, like not going to go, going to save money. I foresee myself traveling a bunch. And I've realized this about myself as time has gone on. I'm very much the type of person that's like, I don't like to think too far in advance.
Oh, because I would say so.
I like to assess my options as things get closer.
Yes.
Yeah, also maybe not the best trait of mine, but
No, it's good. It's spontaneous.
I prefer to be spontaneous. I think the best things in life happen when you are. And so it's your birthday weekend.
Yes.
We're celebrating Ash's birthday. Everyone that's there for the most part is going to Charleston, South Carolina. We end up going for like a post game because we went to brunch for your birthday. Then we went and drank all day long.
Yep.
And I was drunkenly convinced to purchase tickets
That's
to
the best
attend
time
the trip.
To buy airplane tickets.
No. I was gonna say I paid double. I kind of did pay double, but I also paid double to fly out of Connecticut instead of Boston, just so that I can get on like reasonable flights.
You had to drive
on a new airline that no one had ever taken before. And I arrived a day earlier, so I had to pay for a hotel a day earlier. Oh my God,
I forgot about that.
Full craziness. But for whatever reason, I felt like I needed to be there.
No, Courtney, no joke, said, I feel like I'm going to fall in love on this trip. Yeah. I feel like I'm going to meet my person.
Yeah. And I'm not into like angel numbers in the sense of like 111, 222, 333, you know? But I'm a firm believer. I have like a certain number that just means a lot to me. It symbolizes my grandparents that had passed. Super weird story. Long story short, I started seeing this number very, very frequently after my grandparents had passed, very short in time between one another. And I found out that the number that I was seeing was like their garage code. No, it was 269 that I saw everywhere.
Yeah.
And then my dad told me, I didn't even say this, but my dad, ever since his dad passed, which is my grandfather, saw 222s everywhere he went. And my dad does not believe in that shit. And my dad was so like weirded out by the sequences that he was seeing of 222s, and then turns out it was in fact their license plate. 269 was their license plate. 222 was their garage code. So it's like the combination of 2s and 69s.
Yeah.
But long story short, this number became very symbolic because of my grandparents that passed. But it was probably 2 years after they passed at this point. And as time has gone on, whenever I see the sequence of these 3 digits, it immediately makes me feel like I'm being watched over and that I'm on the right path for the right reason. And so I'm on this very lonely drive to Connecticut to get to this flight to Charleston, South Carolina by myself. And I see this sequence of license plate numbers. I'm not kidding, like over 6 times in one like hour and a half long drive. And I'm very in tune to like license plates because I like just see that as signs all the time. But I've never once seen it so far, like so many at one time ever in my life.
So of course, immediately you see your number, you're like, oh my God, like something amazing is about to happen on this trip. Like, how could you not?
I know. No, I literally was like, I'm supposed to be going on this trip. I don't know what the reason is, but I'm happy I'm doing this. I feel like I'm where I belong. And then flash forward to the actual girls trip. I end up meeting someone who is very important to my life. Like even today, we just like, I kid you not, like the second we met, we were just like on the exact same wavelength. We're like literally like when we met each other at the bar the second night, because we saw each other the first night, the second night, he was like, I'm going to marry you.
Yeah, no, like the vibes, like I could feel them. Like I could fully feel the wavelengths just coming off of them.
Yeah. So whatever. So there was just like a synergy that other people felt too. And we didn't know what the reason was. Like, I think at first we were like, oh yeah, like he really feels deeply probably to this day that we're going to get married.
Yeah.
No matter what, I just felt like there's a reason for us meeting one another. And I truly believe to this day that we're soulmates, even if we're not meant to physically be together. I'm a believer that you have multiple soulmates in your life, and he's definitely one of them for me.
No, like even, I mean, you tell me all the time, like how you guys like still like keep in contact and stuff. Like, I just feel like he cheers you on, and he's just like such a good human to have in your life.
Yeah.
And like he wants you to succeed, and he just wants the best for you.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's like, I guess besides the point, but like truly, like you met someone that has actually made a difference in your life, essentially.
I know. It's really, really special. Like I kid you not, he pops into my head. A second later, I will receive a message from him.
The other night. Remember? We were driving
we
were driving home somewhere, and I think a song came on that maybe he sent you or something.
Yes.
Like a while ago, and you're like, oh my God, Mr. South Carolina man said this. No joke. Courtney drops me off, immediately sends me a screenshot. South Carolina man.
I FaceTime you.
Yes. And she's like, guess who just texted me? And I was like, who? And she was like, South Carolina man. And I'm like, the universe is just so wild how it does that.
So wild. And for whatever reason, my life, my friends from home can attest this. My family members can attest this. Like, the universe works in weird ways for me. Like, I don't know why, but it does. Or maybe it's just my belief in that, and that's how it kind of manifests. I don't know. But bottom line, I met a soulmate, and it was so funny because on my long ass commute, my drive back from the Connecticut airport to home after I had met him, I was like, why does this man like look so familiar? Like, there's something about him, right? And then it clicked. Guys, I'm gonna admit something.
Guys, you're going to definitely judge Courtney for
It's
this,
really embarrassing.
But she did it for the bit.
I did it for the bit. I do
Not really. She did it for like true belief, but we're going to pretend like she did it for the bit.
No, but I do most things in my life for the bit.
Yeah, for sure. Courtney's life is a bit. So
it's an entire bit, but basically it was a TikTok thing. On TikTok, basically people were going to this one psychic that they found on Etsy.
Guys, Courtney,
I can't take myself seriously when I do these things. I really fucking can't. But we're gonna post the photos so that
I think we have to. No, you guys, your mind
actually have to
will be blown.
I'm having so much fun. I don't want this episode to end.
I know, same.
Okay, so basically there was a viral TikTok trend where people were getting psychic drawings of their soulmate from this woman on Etsy.
So Courtney paid a psychic woman on Etsy to draw her soulmate.
Mm-hmm.
And?
It came with a drawing and a description.
Oh, I didn't know about the description.
The description was, I think, the dictionary.com definition of a soulmate.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
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 And
And
also, I feel like I'm going to be so loud because we're drinking wine. And as I drink, my voice gets louder because #Italian. That's what I blame it on.
Yeah, I don't know if that's it, but it's okay. So she sends me this drawing. Like, this was probably in October of 2021. I'm sorry, of 2020. And this trip was in May of 2021.
Mm-hmm.
And it clicked that South Carolina man's is literally what she drew for me.
No, like, guys, I've never you will see it.
Yeah.
It is so wild, the similarities.
Yeah. Even the shirt that he was, like, a shirt that he has, I don't remember if he was wearing it that night.
I don't know, but we, like, just compared a photo that we had of him to the photo. Oh my, guys, it's so crazy.
No, it's, like, disgusting.
Yeah.
But yeah, so why did we tell the story?
Basically, you saw these numbers and you went into it being like, I'm gonna meet someone really important.
Yeah.
And like, it was just the vibe of the trip. So also, Courtney and I fully did our own thing this trip. We were basically not with the girls. Yeah, we were kind of the woe on that trip, but I had the best time of my life. So
yeah, I also had the best time.
No regrets.
No regrets.
Basically, we just had like good energy.
Oh my God. We're literally the most annoying.
I don't care. I have fun and it makes me happy. So everyone can hate. I do not care. They're probably way less happy than we are.
That's fact.
But yeah, so I think the whole to bring it back to manifestation, that was more of a story time. But I think the whole manifestation piece was like, I vividly remember like, I feel like I'm going to meet my soulmate on this trip. Like, I said that
multiple times.
Also, side note, when you left, wasn't your luggage tag 269?
Oh my God, guys. My luggage tag was my number. It was 269.
Yeah, you sent me a photo of it. And you were like,
there were so many
shut the F up. How did this happen?
Many things.
Yeah. So also, imagine if you weren't putting this energy out into the world and you weren't thinking about the angel numbers and you weren't seeing the signs, your energy would be so much different. And the places that you would go, the ways that you would react would not be the same.
Yeah.
At all.
I could have shut down like them coming up to us at the bar. Like just not giving a shit at all.
Right.
You know? Okay. I feel like we literally could talk about this episode for years.
Yeah.
So let's finish this episode off with listener write-ins. We wrote on our story yesterday. Tell us about a time you spoke something into existence. So first is someone that I met through work. She doesn't work at my company, but she's literally one of the most special people I've ever met. We were destined to meet at some point in life. She wrote in, OMG, so many times. Ha ha ha. I feel like speaking is truly the first step, but I found that manifestation is aligning your energy with your desires. The universe definitely picks up on that and rewards you for it. And very recently, I admitted to myself that I was ready to shift careers and decided that I needed some more flexibility with my current job. I kept thinking to myself how perfect it would be if I could work remotely during this transition and have a better work-life balance overall. Literally after 2 weeks of feeling like this and saying it to myself and my friends, my boss offered me a raise, more PTO, and I now work days mostly from home. It truly was magical because I didn't have to ask. I just visualized it, said it, and truly believed it, and it happened within 2 weeks.
That's so amazing, and I love that.
Yeah. And Bella, God bless, because if you went anywhere else, then we wouldn't have monthly calls and our relationship that we have right now. And it's so funny. She's such a big supporter of our podcast. And I don't necessarily think that she listens to everything. I don't expect anyone to ever listen to anything. But she was like, you're doing the damn thing. And this is something that even her and her best friend have talked about wanting to do for years.
Yeah.
And just haven't pulled the trigger. So she's such a supporter of ours.
Aww.
And I'm so grateful to have her in my life for more reasons than one. And that is just the epitome of it. Like, she said that so eloquently. And she had to type it in like 7 different chats because it didn't fit. Like, the characters didn't fit. But I love that for her.
I also love that for her. Also, guys, take after Bella.
Yeah.
Like, if you want something, just start thinking about it and how you deserve it and how you want it, and put that energy out into the world and visualize it exactly like she said.
And I'm sure that her boss picked up on her kind of being maybe a little bit fed up, or maybe she wasn't exerting as much energy into something that she once put her entire heart and world into. You know what I mean? It's like, she probably was saying it out loud. She probably started looking elsewhere, and he probably felt that to a certain extent, and felt that she deserves more appreciation, and he was willing to give it to her because she was confident in her ability and what she was putting out into the world. So I want to give a shout out to Sis. Sis is one of our best friends from college, because she messaged in here. She said, my literal entire life. And then she texted me to follow up and elaborate a little bit more. She said, starting at the age of 10, she was obsessed with printing out like fashion photography from Google. And she was obsessed with cutting out magazines of New York City. And she was obsessed with just like fashion in general. And she literally glued everything she printed out or cut out on her bedroom walls. And it was, looking back, it was literally a vision board of her life now. And I'll give you some context. She lives alone in New York City. She lives an amazing life. She's working in fashion. She's doing what she loves. And she's also just like, she's just living her dream life, essentially. And she basically created a vision board for it at the age of 10 and unknowingly turned that into her life because it was a passion of hers. She firmly believed it even at a young age. And that's what she kind of set herself up to be. That's what she's always been into. And it's so funny because my immediate reply was, well, when I was 10, no, I wasn't 10. I was 13 years old probably at this point. When I was 13 years old, everything that I put on my wall was pictures of Justin Bieber's face.
I was going to say Justin Bieber.
Why have I not married him yet? Yes. You know? That's one thing that I've tried to manifest my entire life. I've said my entire life, I will meet Justin Bieber before I pass away.
Wait, you definitely will meet Justin Bieber, but also, guys, did you know that Courtney's a believer?
Belieber?
Sorry,
Get it
I
right?
had a stutter. I am clearly not a believer.
I've been a believer, like a diehard believer my entire life. But yeah. But like, how cool is that for Sis?
No,
like,
that's actually so cool. Also, I just think that's sick because everybody does vision boards now. And speaking of, we should probably do a vision board.
Oh, yes.
But the fact that she did that as a kid.
But she didn't know what she was doing.
Exactly. It was so organic.
Mm-hmm.
And that's so special. That's just a confirmation that you're on the right path. You know, like younger her looking at her now would be like, wow, I can't believe that's me.
Yeah.
And it gives me chills.
You said younger self and it made me think of this. So also in the essence, or because I moved out of my apartment, this is kind of at the forefront of my mind because we were taking down photos from the wall and stuff. And when we first moved in, we created this wall in our living room of all these different pictures and canvases and things that we painted. Like almost every single item on the wall had some sort of meaning behind it, and it was so beautiful. And one thing that we decided to do was put baby photos of all of us on the wall.
Wait, that's cute.
And the reason why we did it, we picked one of our favorite photos of us is when we were a little girl. And it was just a reminder whenever we were having a really tough day, whenever we were like really hard on ourselves or didn't like the way we looked in the mirror, we'd be forced to pass by and look at these baby photos of us. And it just made us think, this little girl would be so proud of us right now.
Court, I'm tearing up given it's that time of the month, but like, oh my God, I'm literally going to do that.
It's like this precious human is still inside of us. Why would we ever talk to her negatively, or why would we ever treat ourselves below what we deserve?
Oh my God, if you guys take away anything from this episode, I think it should be that. That is so precious. No, that's such a nice reminder.
And I took the photos with me because I'm like, no matter where I go, I want to have this there.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, of course, it's something that you eventually get used to and you kind of dismiss. But, like, the thought of that is so profound. And it's something that I want to, like, think about whenever you're kind of feeling a little off. I think that's just, it really did a lot.
I love that.
Munching with Maddie.
Oh, my favorite human. She doesn't even know me, but, like, I love her. Maddie, if you're listening,
she's a very loyal listener.
Okay, well, so you're gonna hear this, and I do have a crush on you. I have a crush on your voice and just your presence and your vibe. I think everything you say at the Sunday setup, I'm just mesmerized by it. I think you say everything so eloquently. I'm a fangirl.
Wine.
Sorry, I'm asking
wine
for
time.
a refill. It's also way past my bedtime.
It's also, I have to work like multiple hours after this.
Yeah.
Okay, so basically, Munchin' with Maddie is someone that we went to the same college with, but we weren't really friends with. And she decided to pursue her passion, which was food. She created a food Instagram account.
Munchin' with Maddie, if you guys don't follow,
you must.
You need to immediately.
She just surpassed 50K followers on Instagram.
Sickening.
And she decided to quit her job as an accountant to pursue this full time, to put all of her eggs in one basket. She took the risk and it's paying dividends because I think she's gained over 25K within the past month or two since she's been out of corporate America.
Insane.
Yeah. And I know for a fact this is something that she didn't think was possible because I definitely did not manifest this for her, but I remember saying this to her at one point when she was growing kind of fast. She was still like maybe around like 13K. I was like, I can't wait for you to eventually like fucking send it.
Yeah.
I can't wait. And I remember she asked me for the first time how I made my reels, my random little montages of videos. And I told her the app that I use and all this stuff. And now she's just absolutely flourishing and killing it. And I'm sure there was a shift in her mindset that allowed her to really take that risk and just do it.
Yeah, there was probably one moment where she was like, wow, okay, I don't deserve to be sitting miserable at this job. Like, let me do something I love.
Yeah.
She got a little encouragement from maybe some type of sponsor or whoever it was, or maybe a friend. She's like, you know what? I'm just going to take the risk. So also, guys, people out there take the risk every day.
Yeah.
Go after something you're happy. Life is way too short to be so miserable, especially when it's a job. You spend so much of your life doing that.
Yeah. Seriously. Next one makes me want to cry. This is a write-in from my cousin Nick. He said, as a kid, I wanted to become a Marine. At 24, I became one.
And wait, stop. Literally stop right now.
He just graduated from officer training camp, officer candidate school. Don't ask me. I should know this.
I feel like it was officer training camp because that sounds correct
OTC,
to me.
Yeah, whatever. He just survived his 6 weeks.
We love you. Good job.
And he just graduated on Saturday in Virginia. And he's officially a second lieutenant in the Marines.
That's so sick.
And this is something that he's always wanted to do for whatever reason. That was his thing. He was going to become a Marine one day. That was his thing. And he did it. And this is an interesting story too, because he was supposed to be in the Marines he was supposed to go to officer training camp in 2020, right after college. He went to like a military-esque school, so it set him up for that.
Yep.
COVID happened, obviously. Everything got stepped back. Everything for the most part was out of his control. He didn't get in. There's like certain classes you have to train with and you have to get there, whatever. There's like a bunch of things that you have to do before you get there. Everything was delayed because of COVID, but then everything just kind of got delayed out of his timeline that he was envisioning for himself. And he could not be more grateful for the time that he had before he went, because he became like, I'm going to say this wrong because I don't know, but he became like a master at jiu-jitsu. Yeah, he like did all of these things. Yeah, I was going to say he was a black belt. He's not a black belt, but he's some sort of belt.
Okay, yeah.
He like had this extra time to develop himself mentally and physically for this, that I firmly believe he would not have made it through the 6 weeks if he did not have those 2 extra years practically, if it wasn't for that.
That's cool. That's the other thing. Everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
Another whole other episode. I feel like that's
episode.
something you and I really live by, is everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
We should do that for an episode.
Yeah.
But
okay, next one. I thank the universe for something I didn't have yet, and then it all happened at once. This is profound because a part of manifestation, which we haven't talked about yet, is you speak things into existence, yes, but whenever you speak things, you speak as if they've already happened to you.
right.
So I have this dream career. I have the love of my life, because the more you talk about it in the present tense, the more you believe whatever you're saying, and the more you then act in that way, and then things end up falling into your lap in that way when you have that strong belief and you talk about it in the present tense. And on the flip side, not only do you talk about it, you need to be grateful for it too. So I'm grateful for having this, and then that essence of gratitude kind of factors in and helps things kind of fall into place too. So that's really cool.
That makes me think of my car, which is so
Say it.
materialistic,
Go
but
ahead though. It's still valid.
basically growing up, like I had this used car that I loved so much. It was so durable. I went through everything with it, and I had always talked to my dad. Her name was Brittany. We had so many good memories in that car.
I still smell the car. The car smelled like crayons for
Wait.
no good reason.
No, that was Morgan's car that smelled like crayons.
No. Your car.
My car did not smell like crayons. I will
Ashley.
get so defensive of it.
Ashley always smelled like crayons.
No, it didn't. You're thinking of someone else.
Ashley, it smelled like crayons.
Excuse me. I'm putting out a poll to anyone that's ever been in my old car, but regardless, moving on.
It smelled like crayons. Also,
essentially,
crayons or crayons?
crayons.
Crayons. I agree.
Did I say it weird?
No, you didn't.
Oh,
but
thank
everyone
God.
fucking calls me out. They're like, crayons or crayons? It's like fucking crayons, you
Yeah,
bitch.
crayons. If you say crayons,
Crayon?
no.
Crayons.
Immediately no. But basically my dad would always be like, oh my God, what's your dream car? And I was like, honestly, just the newer version of exactly what I have. So my car essentially broke down and was dead.
Gotta go.
Yeah, last fall. And it was not the time to be shopping for cars because it was COVID. Like the chances of finding a new car at all were just hopeless. And I was like, listen, my dad like met me to go shopping because I don't know anything about cars. So he's going to tell me what's good and what's not. Of course. And
thank you,
I was
Peter.
like, listen, Dad, I do not want to buy a new car and completely drain my savings unless it is my exact car in a new version with red interior. If it's not exactly that, I will just pay to get like my old car fixed.
Yeah.
And he fully pulls up on his phone. He's like, oh, well, like, what about this one? My exact car in the new version, like same color, white on the outside with my red interior. Guys, like, what are the chances of that? Like, you don't get it. Like, how? Literally, how does that happen? We're in a shortage in a COVID world where manufacturing is just not a thing and it just happens. But
I think your dad definitely had some factor to play in that.
No,
just because he's special. He has powers.
Yeah, he is.
That's so freaking
He really
funny.
is.
Okay, next one I love. This is Soph. This is my bestie and roomie. She wrote in. I had to ask her about it in person because I was like, what the hell do you mean by this? Being the graduation speaker, since freshman year, I just knew that it would be me up there. She was
that is so sick.
Was the graduation speaker for Suffolk University. It was 2020 graduation, but it was in 2021. Was live streamed. It's on YouTube. It's on LinkedIn. It is one of the most profound things I've ever listened to and I've ever seen. She's one of the most special human beings. And I asked her, I was like, what do you mean? I was like, yeah, like it's so funny. Like when you say something and you want it so badly, you just like do the actions, right? That take you there. She goes, Courtney, no, like I literally, the second I saw the first graduation speaker, which was my freshman year, like before I even walked on Suffolk University's campus, I knew it. Like I literally knew it. I never had a question in my mind that I was not going to be the speaker. Everyone else knew it. My family talked about it. Oh, like when's graduation? Like you're going to be the speaker. She never
wild.
did anything extra. It was just like a gut feeling she had. She visualized it anytime she could because she just like, it just felt right. And that's another thing in manifestation too. Like there's some piece of it that's honestly inexplainable.
Yeah.
Some things it's just like, maybe it's a culmination, but you just don't recognize it, or you don't realize
it's your
it.
intuition. Like it's your
sometimes your gut feelings just like take you to places and you're in a right place at the right time, but because you're meant to be there and you just have always felt that way.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so she's like, I didn't even do any. She was like, maybe she felt that way because she had a lot of success at her high school. I'm just like making scenarios up in my head.
Yeah.
And she was an all-star. She was like the president of every single club. Like she was, she's extremely intelligent. She was probably like all A's, like president's list, all that good stuff. But she just said the second she walked on campus, she's like, I am going to be. She never doubted it for a second in her mind. And she was. She literally was. There was an application process.
That makes my heart so happy.
Have you ever listened to her speech?
No, I've never.
Oh, we're gonna watch it after this because
I need to watch it.
So special. It's not very long either, so we're gonna watch it.
Yeah, I want to watch.
But yeah, so that's like another piece that we didn't necessarily cover. But sometimes you just feel it and you know it and you like can't explain it, which is totally fine. And that's it. Another version. Someone said, getting my amazing job in ortho spine surgery. That's unbelievable. Thank you for doing what you do, because not everyone can do that.
Wait, hold on. What?
Getting my amazing job in ortho spine surgery.
Holy shit. Ortho spine surgery. That sounds so intense.
I quite literally don't know what that means.
That's why I had to have you repeat it. Oh my God, we love orthopedic
our spine surgery.
Oh my God,
we're grateful for the doctors. Not
Honestly,
anyone could do that.
I'm also gonna need that spine surgery.
No, don't say that. We're not manifesting that.
That's true.
Next one, being a DJ. We have to shout out DeRosa.
Oh,
DJ DeRosa. I don't even know if that's her DJ name.
DeRosa.
DeRosa Music. That's her TikTok. We'll link it out. I'm so sorry, Jen, that we don't know it off the top of our heads, but we are in full support and we love you.
I want to go. I want to go so bad.
That's our next New York trip.
I know.
Jen,
we need to go.
We haven't been invited, but we're inviting ourselves.
Yes.
But yeah, she is a beautiful, intelligent, smart, all the things person, has a corporate America job, and she finally decided to pursue her passion of being a DJ. And she's like,
iconic.
Literal iconic. Like, I would want no one else more than I want her to pursue this and fucking succeed. And she will succeed because she's actually doing it.
Yup.
Everyone needs to pull the trigger on their passion, period. But she manifested that. I'm sure she's wanted to her whole life. She was probably the queen of SoundCloud remixes. She's probably the DJ throughout her life. And now she is one. And she's going to do big things. And finally, the last write-in. This is someone from my hometown. Someone that I haven't honestly seen or spoken to in about over 6 years. But we support each other because he has a separate photo account. He said, telling myself every morning I would photograph brands all over the country. And now I am.
I think that is the epitome of... Is that the right word?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Confidence, Ashley.
I know. Guys, I am working
If
on
you
it.
say it confidently, no one is even going to question if it's the right use of the word.
I just feel so silly.
No, you got
Anyways, that's the epitome of just telling yourself something every day until it happens.
Yeah.
And not being like, oh my God, I said it again today and it didn't happen yet. Like, oh, it's so fake. It's not going to work. Like, that's because you don't believe it. You fully have to wake up and say it every single day.
Yeah.
And truly say it until you believe it.
Mm-hmm.
And then one day it'll just fall into your lap.
Yeah.
Iconic.
But not fall into your lap. Deservingly fall into your lap.
Listen, I'm happy to say things fall into my lap
No, I know.
because we deserve them.
Yeah.
I don't think there's been a single thing in my life that has happened to me that I don't deserve.
Yeah.
I put out good energy and I deserve good energy back. I'm so kind 92% of the time that I deserve that kindness. And listen, the 8% get me. I get slapped in the face for sure. Life hits me hard, but hey, whatever you put out, you get back.
Yeah.
And the universe can truly work in your favor if you want it to.
Yeah.
Gotta be a believer or believer if you're like Courtney.
I actually can't. Also, this is like kind of random, but I just want to add it because it's aligned with like the other variation of manifestation that we didn't get too far into, like just some inexplainable things that just happen. And I feel like this happens a lot in my life, but because it happens so often, or like it's minor things, when we told each other we were going to talk about manifestation this episode, they didn't necessarily come to my mind. But this happened today, and I'm like weirded out by it, like very much weirded out. You know that I travel a decent amount for my job.
Yep.
I've gone to major cities in the U.S., like Miami, Texas, Austin, and L.A., right? Like that's it. Boston, New York, that's it. I have been seeing my crush for over a month at this point. And from the second that I met him, he has been raving to me about Paris. Absolutely raving it to me. He has this like portrait in his apartment, like of the Eiffel Tower. It's his favorite place in the world. And he's been telling me that, like, I don't know, like he always brings it up, right? I've been to Europe once on like practically like a family vacay. And by family, I mean my roommates. We went to visit her family. We went to Spain. And I kid you not, today I got invited to go to Paris, literally just me out of my entire company in June for an event. They want me to be there on behalf of the brand. And it was a message that I fully missed because I was like moving and whatnot. And I saw it like hours later. And for whatever reason, they want me in Paris by myself to be the evangelist of our company. Do you know how many markets we have? We have an office. I mean, France, that's Paris, right? Yeah.
Oh my God. Yes, that's right.
We have an office in Paris. We have an office in Denmark, London, Barcelona, Australia.
Oh my God.
New Zealand. We have offices everywhere. For them to decide that the first international travel I ever do with my company is Paris, and for the last month and a half, that's been the only city on my mind.
No, also, it's not even just you and your crush talking about it. You verbalize it to me that like you guys have been talking about it so frequently enough for you to tell one of your best friends like that it's been talked about so much. You're like, oh my God, like we've been talking about this. And I'm like, oh my God, it's so cute. And then you called me today and I was like, literally what? How? That is so amazing. And guys, if this doesn't tell you that manifestation is real, you don't even have to necessarily want it.
Yeah.
It's just the things you talk about in your life, and the universe will just make things happen for you.
This wasn't even necessarily a desire of mine. Like, you're so right. Like, I just, for whatever reason, it's been like around me, like the thought of it. Like, every time I'm at my crush's place, the photo comes up.
Exactly.
Like, it's been around, and I'm the singular person out of my company over 5,000 people. I literally, like, I read the message and a tear streamed down my face.
Courtney FaceTimed me crying today.
I did. I literally.
Well deserved, though. I almost cried as well.
She was like, "What? What's wrong? What's wrong?" I was like, "I was
really nervous.
It's a happy tear. It's a happy tear."
Like just
what?
It's so wild.
Literally, what the actual fork?
Yeah. It's also amazing. Like, that just brings the biggest smile to my face, thinking that these things can happen. And whether, guys, you could think we're so like woo woo or whatever you want to call it.
Nah, screw you all that think we're woo woo.
But whatever, at least we are so much happier than just being like, oh, this is very logical. Okay. So we're having, you guys don't even know how much fun we've had with this episode.
This is my favorite episode ever.
So don't give us any hate. Let us live. Do what makes you happy.
And with that, I don't even want to give a focus of the week.
No.
We talked for almost 2 hours.
You already know.
Focus of the week, we're manifesting.
You should manifest too. That's your focus of the week.
Period.
All right. Have a good week, guys.
I love you all so much.
Same.
But Ash, I really love you too.
I love you.
We're holding hands. Anyway.
All right. Anyways, we're going to go.
I hope you have a beautiful week. Happy drop day. We appreciate you. Love you.
Thank you for listening.
Talk soon.
Bye.
Ciao.